As we were meeting up to take this ride, it dawned on all of us that it was 1983, the first year that we all had street bikes collectively. Now, several of us had bikes prior, but never all at the same time. And that year, it just coincidentally, two of the guys had bought brand new bikes in the fall, and then the other two of us had gotten new bikes in the spring of '83. And that's when we started riding together. And it's been 40 years this year that we've been riding together. Man, it's so hard to believe. It's like time just flies. And the journey we've all been on. These guys were a pretty famous rock band in the area, and well known, and the careers they've had since. One of them owns a heating and cooling company. Another was a deputy sheriff for years, and now he's the police chief of a small town. And then the other one, he's an actual wounded vet that's worked all his life and has done pretty well for himself. And to listen to Crack Squad's recent hero, the same guy that sat up all night long, sucking bong water, trash mouthing every single person that's over there sucking his balls now. Isn't that something? That's how thin they are, because I'm in their head so hard. Because, see, if what I was saying wasn't true, they'd just laugh. It wouldn't bother them. But it's because it's true, it makes them angry. So we're coming up on the infamous BIS, Boys Industrial School, later known as Fairfield School for Boys, and is now a prison. But Boys Industrial School is where David Allan Coe was incarcerated as a young teen, and it's the place he sings about in the song Perfect Country and Western Song. My father and his father both were carpenter teachers here. They would bring these troubled youth in and teach them a trade. That's why it was called an industrial school. But I thought I would share that with you. It's a beautiful area. I think it should have been made into a college. Before they brought the prison in, it was just full of great big, huge, like mansion-sized houses where like groups of kids stayed. A lot of them would run away and end up at our house. Sometimes it was funny. So hard. Because, see, if what I was saying wasn't true, they'd just laugh. It wouldn't bother them. But it's because it's true, it makes them angry. So angry, they stay up all night and day scouring the internet. And isn't it amazing how they all have the same thing in common? No fucking job, no life. Actually thinking that disability is a flex. I remembered my grandfather talking about his time in World War II. He was an anti-tank battery. So you can imagine the mortar they probably took. And he never talked much about, people around him getting killed. But, it happened. And, but he did talk about having to, they got pinned down on a hillside in the winter. And the frontline guys were days out. And so they just had to lay low in the freezing cold, unable to build a fire because that would give away their location and they'd get hit with mortar. So a couple of them got frostbite real bad, including my grandfather. He had frostbite in his right foot. This area that we're coming up on, where you see all those trees stripped off, think it's logging, right? No. A tornado did that just like, I guess this guy lives near here, and a tornado came through there and took all them trees out just recently. And but he worked all his life, never complained. And the only thing that he ever talked about that like you could tell really hurt was him talking about having to go help bury bodies at this internment camp thing. It wasn't one of the famous ones, but I guess there were a lot of unburied people. And because when the troops fled, these people had no food, and a lot of them starved to death. And then my father talking about being bogged down in rice paddies in Korea, water soaked to the bone, and then marching in the sweltering heat, jungle humidity, and then not even being able to accept a drink from anyone because it might be poison, because you don't know who the enemy is. Never heard him complain. He just worked all his life. And they made those guys were tough men. There wasn't no PTSD or disability for them. They just came home and they worked so hard that it made life too easy for the 80s kids. The 80s kids had it way too easy. But anyway, the 80s kids had it way too easy, and it made a bunch of softies and potheads, just absolute potheads. And listen, I'm not anti-weed, but just like everything else, if you abuse it, it's going to alter your state of mind. And that's exactly what guys like our new little crack squad hero is. That's him to a T. Instead of having the dreams and aspirations, that natural instinct, that natural drive to want to work hard and succeed, and look at the fruits of your own labor, be a provider. There is nothing more rewarding than the feeling you have after a really hard day's work and knowing you succeeded. Nothing can compare to it. And when you abuse any substance, even marijuana, it alters that natural instinct, that natural state of mind, and you start to get lazy and complacent. Everything's too hard. Everything's too hard. And the next thing you know, instead of saying, man, if I just work hard, I can get this, and I can do that, and I can go here, and I can accomplish it, you start thinking, man, if I could just get disability, man, I could stay in the house all day, and I wouldn't have to work at all. And that's our little PTSD hero here, our little whiny crybaby, our little 80s boy. Okay? Same guy that trash-mouthed every single one of you crack squatty and low IQ idiots that believed the most ridiculous Scooby-Doo episode conspiracy ever concocted. When we were on this ride, we ran into 3 other bikes. It was 2 dudes about my age and a couple, an elderly couple on a 3-wheel bike. And we're talking to this dude, and he says, yeah, that's my parents there. And we're like, this guy's my age. And he says, yeah, that's my parents right there. And we're like, what? And come to find out, 89 and 92, that his mom was 89, the dad was 92. And they have been in every state on their motorcycle, including Alaska. And he said, yeah, if they built a bridge to Hawaii tomorrow, they would jump on that bike and ride to Hawaii. And they had all these medallions they were on their jacket they were showing us, every state that they've been in. Over 30 years it took them to ride through every state. And, they just every year that's what they did for their vacation and their spare time, was take these long road trips on their bike. And to watch them ride up out of there with us, knowing that he's in his 90s. But crazy, man. Now, guys like our crack squad hero, his fate is sealed, you see, because he's an anchor to the people around him. The people around him, the people in his life, they have to tug him along as just like dead weight on top of what they got to do for themselves. And every year it gets more annoying and more aggravating to keep yanking and tugging on that anchor rope, dragging that pothead behind them, okay? That's just sitting there waiting on a disability check to come. Isn't going to accomplish anything, isn't going to apply himself, isn't going to do a damn thing to contribute to the quality of the people's lives around him. He is just an anchor. And one day it's going to dawn on all of them that, man, if I just turn this anchor rope loose, my life will get easier. My life will be less stressful. I'll be able to go do what I want and not feel guilty of leaving PTSD boy behind. And they're just going to release that anchor rope. And he's going to have to carry himself. And he's going to be too old to do anything about that. You see, that's why all these homeless camps are full of 80s kids. On drugs, on weed, just totally unplugged from life. Some of them are literally in them homeless camps because they want to be there because they don't have to apply themselves at all. They can just get up, sit around, do nothing all day, catch a buzz, and do the same thing tomorrow. Yeah, I wouldn't trade your disability if it was 5 times what you got. And there's a reason. There's a reason why a guy like him would never understand how somebody that worked for the same career for 39 years would have their very own disability insurance that they paid for and their very own retirement that they paid into. That's inconceivable to somebody like him. Totally inconceivable. The fact that a man would get up and go work just because he wants to is just inconceivable to somebody like that. It's shocking to me how much these losers have in common. And just knowing how bad I'm in their head, but the hours they invest, and then they finally doctor up some papers from 23 years ago and think they're winning, and it just makes them look foolish. They are just refuse to accept the fact that they destroyed Ryan Upchurch's algorithm. Now Ryan helped screw up his reputation. And when he told all of his long-time fans to fuck off when they were saying, hey, dude, you can't be slandering these grieving parents. Told them to fuck off. Yeah, that screwed him pretty good. But Crack Squad put the nail in the coffin for his YouTube channel with their filthy, nasty, pedo, gross, nasty stuff of attacking anybody that told the truth. A celebrity shouldn't be slandering people. And if he does, he's probably going to get sued. So, yeah, you guys go over there and lick them balls. Them same balls that were pissing all over you just a week ago. I'm going to be sitting here still laughing at what low IQ, ridiculous morons each and every one of you are. I own you 10 times the man any of you will ever be. Isn't that right, Crack Squad? Isn't that the truth? I make you guys look like idiots, and it's like playing with toddlers. See, even if the crap you said about me was true, it's not bad. Anything to do with being gay's long been accepted. And so you guys have just exposed yourselves for being massive homophobes on top of being dirtbags by trying to mess with me. The biggest man out of all of you. You guys have a good day in the house. I got too much to do, man. I'm living my life.